Okay, there we go. Okay. Good afternoon. It's a little after 4 o'clock. I've got 4:02 now on the clock. Today's group session, October 19th, 2010. We have roughly about 18 people who are supposed to be on the call today, but like I said, most people join after a few minutes and sometimes 20, 30 minutes into it. All right, as usual, we're going to go through our basic rules. Question must be relevant. All right, instant message your question or email coaching1on1@gmail. And we'll try to answer them as we go along. All right, and then whenever in doubt, always Google it. All right, next session, or next slide, our main topic today, as you remembered from Thursday's sneak preview last week, we're going to go through what we call page layout. Page layout basically refers to the header, the sidebar, and sidebar typically is the right or left or both. Sometimes people get a little bit confused with exactly what a sidebar is. A sidebar technically is a column, and we're going to go through that here in a second. So when you hear or you see a web theme that says it's a two-column theme, what they're referring to is if the content area is one column and the sidebar is one column. So a two-column theme means there's only one sidebar and one content area. If you hear or see a three-column theme, what they're referring to is a sidebar on the left, a sidebar on the right, and then the content area in the middle. Now, what you might have seen just recently, because we've started noticing web design in probably the last 8 months to maybe a year, we're noticing now that they're coming out with 4 and 5 column themes. And what they refer to is this. Some people like to have a 2-column sidebar, content area, and then a 2-column sidebar on the right. So you essentially have 2 columns on the left as a sidebar, and you have 2 columns on the right as a sidebar, and the center is content. In addition, you can move those around. So you could have a 3-column sidebar on the right, a content area in the middle, and a sidebar on the left, and so forth. So there's a lot of different combinations with sidebars. Sidebars are really a big deal right now, and a lot of your web designers out there are starting to use sidebars in a more creative way of doing it. We won't exactly show you a couple of themes right now with sidebars or multiple sidebars because I'd have to have 6 or 7 web page layouts open. But essentially, when they refer to sidebar, that's essentially a column. All right, the body and content area, what we call the body or content area. If you've ever heard me say the body area, that's essentially the same thing, the content area. We're going to go through that area today again. For some of you, this may be really elementary, but it's important that we go through this a little bit more because you might have missed something in your one-on-one coaching sessions. And depending on when the last time you had your one-on-one coach, you might not exactly remember some of this stuff. So it's always a good thing to go back and refresh and get a little bit better idea. Then you've got the next bullet point, footer, okay, and then the next bullet point, content in particular. Now, what we're going to actually go through is we're going to show you the basic page layout, but then we're going to show you specifically the content area. And you'll see bullet point up there, number 3, body or content area. And what we're specifically going to go through is we're going to go through a headline, a subheadline, bullet points, list, images, links, and keywords. So we're going to go over those basic items that go in your content area. And before we go to the next slide, I want to make sure you understand that in the content area, when we refer to the headline of the content area, we're not talking about the header. Okay? The header is basically the top portion of your web thing. What we're talking about is the headline within the page content area. Now, we're going to show you that again in a little bit. A subheadline basically is a headline underneath the main headline. The reason why we refer to bullet points and list, or list bullet points, is because that's how you want to get used to writing your landing pages or your page layouts. I get a lot of people, in fact, I did a website review this morning for a new client. He's based out of Florida, and I looked at his content. What he's hiring me to do is he's hiring me to reconstruct his content area.